connect. Now we have a really exciting opportunity. We are in live in one of our new studios. We have a panel of 5 incredible business leaders who are creating just delicious impact in the world. And we're going to actually talk about, actually, I just realized the background. It's like the crystal ball, like kind of like, here it is. Here's the future portal you guys are all sitting on. And so I'm just going to get you to take a minute. We'll run through, we'll start at Briar. Just give yourselves a quick intro and, what you're here to do in the world. And let's get started that way. So Briar, welcome.
Hello, y'all. I am the Systems Witch. I work with neurodivergent folks. That's ADHD, autism, dyslexia, bipolar, all of the fun stuff. And I help them take their big ideas and turn them into a plan. I work to fix accessibility in businesses, large and small. And I'm here to fix work. So let's do it.
I love it. Joa.
Hey everyone, I'm Joa Ahern-Sarand. I'm a career consultant with Carte Blanche Careers, and I help people figure out what they're meant to do in the world and then do it. And I'm really interested in helping people figure out how they're going to realize any big dreams and impact that they want to have.
Amazing. Veronica.
Hi, everyone. I am the founder and CEO of Business Laid Bare, and we're on a mission to help startups like fall in love with their operations because that creates uncapped income and impact. And when we help you dial in your operations, when you go 50x, like tomorrow or the day after, it's like people are genuinely excited for this growth rather than like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready to handle it. So that's what we're about.
Excellent. Alice.
Woohoo! I'm Alice Miriam, and I am an audience development and virtual event strategist. I work mainly with small businesses and organizations to help them generate connection capital, which is the future, with meaningful audience engagement and growth through virtual events like this one, like summits, conferences, challenges. And I'm all about helping people connect and get deeper relationships and, build beautiful businesses. So
Excellent. Biba.
Hello, everyone. I am Biba Atta of Team Biba International. I am a personal evolution facilitator, self-care catalyst, and a few other things. We don't have to go into all of that. I primarily work with driven and ambitious women, in particular, on their own personal evolution. So I'm a creator of systems, or not systems, but containers, and also programs to help them to be supported as they are learning to grow and become more intimate and deeply connected to themselves in all assets and facets of their life.
Wow. Well, I mean, you said systems, then correct yourself, but like the internal systems, you help
The internal
create the
systems, there we go.
internal systems for us to actually do the things we need to do and show up in the world. So definitely vital. I'm just going to zoom back out again. You guys don't know, but I zoomed into you to get right in there. I'm being fancy today. We're being fancy in the catalyst. Is this production style? Yeah, sort of. It's really just me moving my mouse around while we share this out. But yeah, so thanks everybody. So yeah, we are talking about the future of business, and I'm going to throw this out. I will point to a few of you when I need you, but I want to throw this. Just jump in as you do. What are you seeing in 2023 in your own business of what's happening, what's next? Briar, what are you focusing on this year?
Oh, you pegged me because you actually know what I'm focusing on this year.
To be fair, I know everybody because we talk about these business plans in the Catalyst, but yes.
So it's really interesting. I am moving away from a high ticket model and into content creation, which feels scary for me. I am still doing corporate work, but in terms of the larger body of work, I'm really working on building my podcast network and writing high quality pieces, which feels edgy when we're playing with OpenAI and all of the automatically generated written content that is now available for me to double down on old school keyboard to Notion. It's not pen to paper anymore, but it's keyboard to Notion writing for the pleasure and joy of it. And I think that this kind of proves that regardless of the tech that we have or that we develop, what's always going to matter is our ability to connect. And the more we lean into the ways in which we're really good at that, the more successful we're going to be.
I'm muted, but definitely. Joa, let's hear from you. What are you focusing on this year in your business?
Yeah, this year I am looking at expanding sort of the high touch services that I've offered, which is the really deep, intensive one-on-one work with people to really plan out what it is they want for their careers. I'm working oftentimes with people who are maybe 8 to 10 years into their careers and are really evaluating, all right, what sorts of promotions, what sorts of developments do I want to see in my own career progression? If I haven't been able to get a promotion yet, what's holding me back? What's in the way? How can I be strategic about this? And then I'm also doing a very, very exciting side project, which is really, largely due to the inspiration from this community as well, which is I am starting a career coaching collective with a few other career coaches to basically provide community and peer support to each other so that we can continue to really deepen and develop our own skills in the career coaching space, to be able to broaden our own networks and draw in people who are really interested in collective action and collective model. We're really interested in working with people who are sort of ripe for the picking in this way. What we've seen over the past couple of years in the workforce is that people, especially largely US based work populations, are understanding that they might have more power than they sort of realized before. In other countries and other markets, people understand that they can strike and that they can take collective action. It's much more commonplace in Europe, for example. In the US, that largely isn't the case. But we're seeing, with this push to go back to the office instead of continue to work remote, people are saying, well, actually, we don't want that. We can choose and we can work together and we can bargain collectively for what we need. So really interested in helping to foster those ideas and support them.
I love that. And we're going to come back to collective action because I think there's definitely something in there that we can all talk about the future. Veronica, what are you focusing on this year in your business?
Yeah. So with the whole recession talk that started last year and is still continuing this year, like a lot of people are very uncertain. And when with the groups that we are focused on, we work with a lot of startups, founders, and we have partnerships with venture capitalists and investors. There's a lot of uncertainty. So what we're hearing a lot is how can you be as lean and efficient and effective as possible without burning out, without sacrificing mental health or mental wellness or personal well-being. So what we're doing at Business Laid Bare for us is making sure that we're shoring up all the areas in our business to essentially become recession proof, and also doing the same thing for our clients as well with a lens on operations. So a big thing that we are focusing on with clients that we didn't really have to in 2021 and 2022 because there was just so much demand is, instead of focusing just on acquisition, how do we also shore up like retention strategies as well so that you're not always having to go hunt for new clients, but since you've already gained the trust of your clients or customers already, how do we create repeat customers? How do we increase repeat buyers, or that LTV number that everybody likes to talk about in the e-commerce world? So these are things that we're working on. So what I'm hearing myself saying is that it's a lot of intention.
I love that. Intentional business always gets me excited. I'll tell you that. Alice, what are you working on this year?
This year, I am focusing on so many of the things that everybody's saying on the panel so far, like resonates with me because I'm sitting here like, yes, yes, all of those things, yes. Because really it is about connection for me. And for a long time, I think this trend of like trying to scale business and doing high ticket and automating all of these things and just having all of this stuff that's sort of running in the background and really disconnecting us from people and relationships in general. And I think after 2020, like everybody's exhausted and we're lonely and we're like just so many things, and we need people. Like automations are great for a lot of things, don't get me wrong. I love to automate some stuff. I love me some systems and operations, Veronica. Like you need that to function with sanity, I think, right? But I think getting back to just kind of like Briar said, old school stuff. Like I feel like we're bringing back some old school relationships. That's where I'm headed. I'm focused on doing that for myself, because for example, in the Catalyst, I feel like I've flourished in the last year just being part of this community and being able to connect with all these amazing people that I have on the stage with me today and with you. And I want other people to experience that too. Like you can have a successful, thriving business and have really great relationships and take care of yourself and feel really good. And that's what I want other people, other businesses to be able to experience that and do that through things like events like this, like where we all get to come together and just have real conversations, not fast food conversations, not like this generic thing, not fake it till you make it. None of those things, just showing up real and making those connections and having those really interesting, fun
that whole kind of conversation, because I think there's been a lot of talk in the world about AI and automations and how it's impacting the world excuse me, around us, but we're I think what for me I'm excited about is having more automations for the things that don't matter to open me up for the things that do matter, like working and
yes.
being with people and having community. So the things are running in the background, everyone's nodding, everyone's like yes, like if we are, actively kind of focusing on the stuff that's running in the background so that we can just show up and be amazing and like have fun. More fun. That's what I'm focusing on this year. Eva, what are you focusing on this year?
Well, that pretty much sums it up. Everyone has basically said it. Ultimately, connection is the point, and I am connecting more deeply with myself. And as a result of connecting more deeply with myself, I've been healing more about myself and about my life and how I show up.
Mhm.
And as a result, I've evolved into being a different kind of leader than I have been.
Mhm.
And in order for me to really step into fully this new sort of leadership, then developing the systems in the background so that I can again show up and deliver, show up and be fabulous, show up and deliver a point, and also live my life. I'm not living to work. I'm not
Yeah.
living to work. I am living to live, and my work simply allows me to do a little bit more living. The type of work that I do allows me to do that. So I don't want to spend my time doing things that ultimately are small or don't really matter and don't bring me joy, more importantly, at the expense of not being able to travel, not being with my family, not doing things that are of interest and importance to me. So most of I'd say the better half of this year, I'm going to spend more time storing up those systems, using automation to do things over and over so that I personally don't have to show up and do them, and be able to trust that I've built something or someone else has built something or whatever, so that I can go away and come back and the house isn't burning down and people are still being served and whatnot. So that's really a big focus for the year, so that I can have more conversations with people that I like and respect and care about. And also it's just part of my work, like showing up, being visible, sharing, honoring people's time and space,
Mm.
connecting with them. Like that's my life's work. So I can't do that if things in the background aren't working right. So got to get it together.
Yeah, get it together, I think would be a really great yearly motto for myself. I'll just say in here what I'm looking at this year is I'm really exploring this. And of course, Briar knows because we're doing a podcast together about this, but I'm looking forward to talking to other people out there too. It's just like this learning and unlearning and relearning and deconstructing how to ask for help, both in my own life and just how we structure getting help, being supported, being nourished within the Catalyst. I'm going into scientist mode this year and definitely looking for input and feedback from the members and from people on the outside looking in of what it looks like to be supported and be nourished and really be, I guess, able to ask for help, because the idea of like, you can have all the support and nourishing in front of you, but if you have no idea how you can also let yourself be helped, but also how to ask for help, how to really define what help looks like for you, and how do you know when you've been helped or been supported. That's the other thing too, is that recognition of what it feels like in our bodies and what it feels like in our relationships. I'm focusing on that this year for myself and for the business. So, okay. So we've been talking about, Go Brunch is shifting us around here. Let me just realign us back on the stage. It's so funny as I zoom in, because I'm testing the limits of technology here. All of this is a bit of a made up thing where I'm like, can we do this? It's a little inception. I'm sharing within I'm sharing. So Chrome and Go Brunch is like, I don't know what's happening. And all of your pictures just sometimes go off and on, but you don't even know that it's happening. So it's some lovely movement happening on the stage. So we're going to throw out some questions here and just, pipe in what means something for you. I'm not necessarily going to pick up anyway, but let's talk technology. What do we see on the horizon for technology for business? And, what are you using? Veronica's like, yeah. Veronica's like, I'm in, coach. Like, let's go. I got this. Veronica,
Put her in, baby.
yeah, Veronica, do you want to start us off there?
Sure. So, of course, we're going to talk about the AI stuff later. But the reason why I was laughing is because we've seen so many businesses, when we work with a business, we always do an assessment, which is we're performing a diagnostic, like what's going well, what's not going well, what do you need to shore up in your business operations to hit 50x tomorrow with ease. And it's really funny because a lot of people, and this ties into the whole uncertainty thing, they don't know what apps they actually truly need or technology. They're buying things because people said so. This is cool. That's cool. And it's not serving them, because how another person uses it or how their brain works is not the same as how another company would work. So, and it goes back to the whole automation thing. And I love that you all are talking about automation. We constantly are like, automation should be the last thing that you focus on. It's the strategy, it's the framework, because if you have a shitty process and you automate it, it's just going to do the same crappy thing over and over again faster. And it may be fast, but is it effective? Is it efficient in serving your business? So in terms of technology, it's like simple is best. We see a lot of people buying things, spending money, and they're not even using the apps or automations fully. So my biggest, please pay attention to this is really audit, is this app or technology serving you and the business? And if you're not excited about it, maybe consider that the way that you need to use it, because as Marisa, you and I have talked about, we're building tools for the people. It's always going to be people first. And if you're contorting people to a tool or automation's limitations, you're not really reaping the full benefits as to what you deserve to be supported in. And you're just settling for mediocrity. So that's why I was laughing, is because this is something that we talk about all the time. So-and-so is using this app or this automation, but so-and-so is also running a different venture completely with a different business model. And even if it's the same business model, you're two businesses running a cupcake shop, making one singular cupcake, how you approach the apps and automations are going to be different than the next person doing the same thing.
Well, first of all, Veronica, you don't know my life. And second of all, you don't know my life.
Or does she?
I'm starting to think she's into it.
Pulling me out like that, Veronica.
I'm
Gee,
like, my
thanks a
God,
lot.
are you telling my business on the streets? What's happening?
And just to add to what Veronica was saying about that, not only what apps and technology you use, but the other thing I see is how you use a specific piece of technology, like, because technology is so flexible. Just because, and I work with a lot of clients, it's like, oh, well, this is how this person used it. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't work for you. So you could actually use it like this. And instead, and so looking at how we use things, how we can make something work for us as well. I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think this is a really important conversation that we need to have, and then definitely I know we'll touch on a bit on the AI one this afternoon, but it's how we use the tools, right? So we build these tools, and then we have the good players and then the bad actors, right? We always kind of say everything can be corrupted, basically. I think, is that like rule 26 on the internet or whatever? Everything can be corrupted if we just brainstorm about it for like 5 minutes, right? But the thing is that it's how we use the tools. Are we creating it from the people? Are we creating tools to replace people, or to actually allow more opportunity for people? I often hear about this thing like the machines are coming for our jobs. Well, or are we still clinging to outdated models about who can work what job, and what job are they allowed to work, and what are the restrictions on their jobs? Like, I think there's going to be some more conversations happening this year around that, and maybe Joa, you can kind of feed into that about how that's going to look like from people who are maybe not just looking for new careers, but also how does their job change? How are they looking at switching that with new tools and new technologies coming into play?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else we got out there? What other technologies is anyone excited about, worried about?
I think for me, one of the things that we need to look at when we're talking about new tech is it going to make my life easier, or is it going to add a new layer to my job description?
Mm. Give me an example.
So I think uh, the advent of digital illustrators like Midjourney and content creators like ChatGPT, we'll get into the AI part, but I feel like I'm now expected to know how to utilize those things
Mm.
to be my own marketing agency,
Mm.
right? We structurally build this into job descriptions. If you look at a hiring application now, and I bet Joa will agree, many companies are looking for unicorns. They want one person to come in and do 15 jobs because there's all this technology available. So surely you must be able to utilize it in order to do these 53 things. I don't need a marketing manager. I need somebody to come in and use all of the technology. And so there's real danger, I think, in being aware that the tech can make things easier. It can also be used to complicate things infinitely.
Mm.
So are we using it to replace people, or are we actually using it to streamline our processes? That's the question.
Mhm.
You make a good point, Briar, because yesterday I was talking to somebody who used to be like head of platform for this VC firm. And she was like, yeah, I would love to bring on a PR person for these two portfolio companies because they're about to take off. We're trying to prep them for success. And the managing directors, so
No.
Okay, as a PR person, I will say you don't just go learn it and go like it's
Right.
I went to school for this. Like I have like I got lots of learnings.
we're just, I mean, these are like really candid conversations that while like you have to make money, like, spend money to make money, sure, but these are things that, I mean, I'm personally just being honest about running into. Like, we're already hearing things because we want to partner with VCs to have them hire us so that we can go support and create operational due diligence and excellence for their portfolio companies to, when they like explode, handle it. I'm hearing like, oh, it's not going to work because VCs don't want to pay for things like that. So my stubbornness is like, okay, well, how do I make them listen? Where can I come in that others may not have been able to succeed? But yeah, when you said that, Briar, I'm just like, oh my God, I just had this conversation yesterday, that unicorn, to go figure it out.
It's scope creep, right? It's the scope creep of technology and how we allow it to replace actual people, but it's not saving time if that requirement is being forced onto somebody else who doesn't actually know what that's supposed to do.
And it's not her zone of genius. Her zone
Right.
this is actually operations. So
But this is all like speaking to the point of like why the machines are not going to come for our jobs, right? Like what we're all talking about is like the human element of being able to do that assessment, being able to say like those two cupcake businesses, are they different and how, right? That's something that you need somebody who's a trained professional with experience to be able to assess and then make recommendations. Can you then like get machines to implement recommendations? Of course. The nature of the work is going to change, but like the human element is always going to continue to be needed. And what we're all talking about is this need for connection with each other, with community, right? You can't connect to machines the way you can connect to other people. Can machines and technology make it easier to connect to people? Absolutely. We see that with the Catalyst, right? But we still need human beings. We still need other humans in the work that we do.
I mean,
rooms don't run.
I'm connected pretty well with the massage chair at the nail salon. They got
yeah, we heard.
That's another story.
Keep it safe for work. But you're right, Joe. Like these rooms don't work without the people in it. Right. And I can build all these pretty rooms and they can sit there, but without the people in it and using it and interacting and, collaborating, what is it? We just got another app. Right. And I think that's an interesting thing for people who are developing apps, who are developing websites, who are developing programs for people. When you use these tools, like, is it, I like Veronica's approach of people first. It's like bringing it, like who are you trying to connect with? How do they connect? What do they need from an accessibility perspective? And the idea that accessibility is for one person, I think needs to end. Accessibility is for all the people.
Yes.
And so it's when we bring in accessibility, when we listen what we actually need, or we identify these needs, it becomes a conversation for everyone to be a part of.
I think that I'm glad that we're having this conversation. It's a very important conversation to have. And I also do believe, too, that the people who do believe that their jobs are going to be gone, that they also have a valid point, especially given that historically speaking, when things turn around in the economy for.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, here we go. The Black and brown people are the first ones to lose jobs. Like, I mean, there's an article that my mom has, and she has it hanging up from the Wall Street Journal back around the Depression, and it's front page of the newspaper that spoke to that the people who were most affected by the loss of jobs were Black and brown people. So, and I mean, historically speaking, that is the case. While I do believe that technology is wonderful and there are uses for it, I don't think that we can deny that there are bad actors who are looking to use technology to do away with jobs so that they can save money. In the end of the day, we are living in a capitalist society, and so the more money that people can make, then then there's all sorts of unquestionable, unreasonable, unconscionable things that people who don't necessarily care about the humanity of it are willing to do in order to meet their bottom line. So I think that, again, technology is wonderful, but there are definitely strong things to think about that are actually true. There are going to be losses of jobs. Mm-hmm. Jobs will change. And then we talk about the access to the education, the access to the resources. Do these communities that are more affected by the loss of the jobs that they have, do they have access now to the training? Do they have the resources, the money, the ability to go and get what is necessary in order to get these new jobs? And how many of these new jobs are going to be available for them, given that so many are gone? So I think that's the flip side of the conversation, that, they're not without they're not without a basis, because historically speaking, this is very true. Jobs go, people are affected. and change happens. But I'm glad that we're having the conversation nonetheless.
For every innovation that we have, like where things change and pivot, I do think about the access to training, the access to, that support system. And then whose responsibility is that, right? Like, is it always the person who all of a sudden doesn't have that job or doesn't have that opportunity anymore? Do they have to go out and like seek what's the next? I mean, yes, they have their own needs. Like we just want to assign them a job. Like, you did this, now you do this. Like, I hate that. I know companies do it all the time, and it always has never sat well with me. It's just like, all of a sudden this is now your job. But it's like the responsibility to pay for that training, the responsibility to the time putting, like if you've got kids, you've like the daycare, the all of those things you have to put on the shelf in order to suddenly pivot in your life. How do we build the support structures in place in society that allows that to happen without, again, burning people, killing people? Like, we're supposed to be not exhausting people with this technology.
Right.
But the act of pivoting is huge. And the impact to your life, your family, your finances, your mental health, your, like, going back to school is not a piece of cake. It's a lot, right? And even just how that school is structured and what training programs are available. We got people going they're working a full-time job, then doing like school on the side. Like, how are we making it easier in society for people to do that?
Yeah.
I think that's why you have to just always prioritize people over profit, over revenue, over growth. Because if you don't, your business is never going to be sustainable, or any organization. Like, we even see, like, there's so many examples. Like, I haven't fact checked this, but one of the layoff, like over the tech layoffs, like Apple didn't really have to do any layoffs because the CEO took a pay cut of like $40+ million. I'm like, I want that.
So
but
he had room to move. Like, he's not,
right.
He's still probably not suffering.
No,
Yes,
but I'm just like, it's like when the hard times hit, like, it's so easy to let people go because they are the biggest expense. But that is also the most damaging. That is also the most damaging act, because people are what make societies, organizations work. Your AI, your technology, like, people often think, they're like, oh, I hate automation. And I'm just like, but you're already an AI and smarts and stuff. I'm like, you're already business owners using things like Zapier. That is already an automation tool. And if it doesn't work for you, it's because you haven't programmed it to work for you. So it's like, AI will never.
Some shots fired there.
Well, I mean, it goes
not
back to
working
the whole,
for
like,
you didn't do it right. So
well, it's only as smart as you make it, right?
User error.
You will always need people. And if you don't prioritize people, profits, pleasure, productivity, even though I have like a hard time with that word, doesn't mean anything unless they are accounted for.
I feel like Apple's a really good example in another area too, because what they value in terms of their human capital is specialization. So they keep it's important to them to keep all of those employees because they all have very specialized skill sets. And they know that if they have to lay off even a percentage of their workforce, they're going to lose people that bring valuable skills and information to the conversation, which will then result in slower innovation.
Knowledge keepers. I mean, we don't value knowledge keepers. And then you have the companies who basically rely only on the knowledge keepers, and they don't have backup systems for them. So if they have to take a vacation, or they get sick, or they leave the job, they're completely hung up because that knowledge keeper has now left. So that's a great point, Briar. Very great point.
I love what you had to say.
Synergy, right? Between the two, you have to have the knowledge workers and you have to have the tech working together to preserve the way the system works.
Yeah. And I love what you had to say, Veronica, about the importance of people and making sure that businesses understand that they have to put people first. I do feel like there's way too many business owners, bigger business owners, corporations that have lost that. And those are the ones that I'm mostly concerned about, because they ultimately treat people or think of people as just cogs in the wheel to be released, to be replaced. And then, we end up having this whole, oh, my jobs are gone because technology has edged me out, but really it's the decision makers who are in these places that have this idea about the people that are there that are deciding that the first thing or expense to cut is the human capital, are the humans that are working here that are doing these things, because it tends to be a big expense. And also, humans are humans. Humans are going to do what they do, and dealing with humans and the culture and the interwovenness and the connection in those spaces, it takes a lot of money, time, effort, communication, and it has to be built. So those things are not often considered, I think, by some of these other people, because they're just thinking about the bottom line, which is the dollar. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like by you guys, but here in Florida, all you have to do is go into any restaurant or retail store around, and you can see that playing out in real time, because they laid off the people, they discarded them very, very quickly. Throughout 2020, 2021. And now they need the people to come back. And the people are like, no, I'm not coming back. You discarded me,
Yeah.
And businesses are struggling now to replace that human capital, which was way more important than the credit that they gave to that human capital. They didn't treat that human capital as though it was valuable. And now they're very upset about it.
Yeah.
We're also not acknowledging at all the percentage of human capital that died in those industries because we don't give proper health care to lower income minority folks, and especially in this country.
Yeah.
You're still expected to show up
sick.
You got to, and it's like you got to bring in your doctor's notes, and then you got to go to a doctor, infect a whole bunch of other people for this little piece of paper that can be proven by the amount of Kleenex that you're amassing beside you. Like, what are we doing here, right? What are these policies that we've created to suppress and oppress and keep people in line? And then the punishments that they receive are like, oh no, I don't have a job. I don't have the ability to pay my rent because I got sick for a moment.
Like, I'm a grown adult. I can tell you if I'm sick or not.
You know what? It's the validity too of sickness. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation, because before the panorama, we were kind of getting into the conversations about how mental health leave is a valid excuse. I don't want to say excuse, but a valid reason to not be at work. And the people will say, there's a lot of controversy around that. As business owners, I think this will be an interesting conversation too. Are we allowed to be sick? During the panorama, I was helping someone because they were in the hospital very ill. Like, we're talking like, we don't know if one day you will be there and we're trying to kind of put together the processes in their business that if tomorrow didn't come for them, how would we let their clients know and all this? And I thought, wow. Meanwhile, this person had clients who were saying like, oh, you're faking it. I'm FaceTiming this person in the hospital after they got the ventilator. Like we're talking minutes, like we're like marks upon the face, minutes of taking the ventilator out. And we're trying to create this like strategy. And I thought, this ain't it. This ain't it at all. And it doesn't matter whether we work for someone else or we're working for ourselves or we're working for clients. This ain't it.
The Fortune 500 attrition rate right now is about 10 weeks. Wow. So people are coming in, getting these new jobs, working them for 2.5 months, and then leaving because they can clearly see that they will not be valued as employees.
And I think that I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think as business owners and whoever is listening to these conversations, when we are talking about business, everything that you do in your business is associated to a cost. Mm-hmm. So if you are in the hiring process, you are spending a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy to do this. You are taking time out of the business of the administration function of your business. You're taking time away from the actual front of house stuff in your business to now write the job description. What is it that you need? Who is going to be responsible for training this person? Who is going to evaluate these people? Who is going to be the person who is on the hook for making sure that they do their job? Do you have the systems and the SOPs and things in place place that makes it clear what their job responsibilities are. How are you going to be able to assess? Are they do all of that is there's a financial obligation that's associated with each and every one of those tasks. So if you have someone that you've gone through this entire process, you've got a team of people who are now that are billing admin hours, for example, to hire someone or a group of people, then you are ultimately taking money out of your own money to, or your own whatever bucket it's coming from, to bring someone on for them to now up and leave for whatever the reason, which more than likely it's corporate culture and somehow, your fault.
Mhm.
Then that is money that is out the door.
Yep.
And then you have to turn around and do this very same process again. You have to spend this money, this time to do this again. So you have to be very clear about what's really at stake when you're hiring people, and making sure that you have a culture that is built, training, where do people go if they're having problems, how are problems being solved, all that stuff should be in place, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste your money ultimately.
That's right. And it's real money. The money they quote about, what it costs to replace somebody is 6 to 9 months worth of salary. When you think about that, like from a small business perspective, that could break you.
It could.
Especially if you're doing it every 10 weeks.
And if you think about that, even at a large business perspective, when you think about that at the scale we're looking at of people leaving, right? Like that can break you too. The more people understand that the workers have the power in this dynamic, the better off the better our chances are going to be to make real change here. And we're already seeing that, companies that are making better policies, that are having in-house training, that are helping people develop their talent, are being rewarded with retention. But it shouldn't just be on companies to fix this. This needs to be a holistic fix.
Yeah.
And
the
this is
impact,
where we come in a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say the impact too, like it's not just like your money to go find the person and train the person, it's the impact on your other team too. So if you do have people in place, they've now have to cover, those positions or those, because the things still have to get done, right? And so there's a realization, especially we see in like startups. I know, Veronica, you're going to see this more and more as you dive into this kind of world this year, is that the things still need to get done. And if people realize, when people take owner in smaller businesses, people tend to take ownership when they're not even the owner, and that there's good and bad things about that, right? Because they realize that the things have to get done, and if they want to get paid, they have to be a part of that process. But the realization that that's a lot of work, that's a lot of exhaustion. So not only do I have to make sure my job is done, I have to make sure all that job just so that I get paid. No, thank you. Like that's a lot. And as a business owner, we take on a lot of that stress too, right? So it's because everything about the business has to, like, we're responsible for everything that happens. Everything comes back down to our performance. So we oftentimes forget that we're also the employee in that situation. So we're taking on the impact. We're taking, we can talk about big corporations and they've got things in place where really the CEO could be taking a pay cut and allowing, but for us as business owners, sometimes business owners have, they might have a team to 3 to 5 people and they're still running on a 3 to 6 month income, where like and I do always recommend this: don't hire anyone until you have 6 months of their pay in their bank account, so that you take out that stress. But now Joe is saying 6 to 9 months. So now before you hire someone, the requirements are responsible for paying yourself and your team for that stuff, right? So I think it'll be interesting as we go forward. So before we get out here, I just want to say, what strategies are we looking at that people need to be on the lookout this year in their business, either personally or in their business? Biba, personal evolution. I know. I look at that. She just snapped in there. She's like, "Oh, personal." Let's talk about this, because I really love the term personal evolution. As business owners, what are we putting into place this year that we need to be on the lookout to keep ourselves healthy and happy?
That's a great question. What I do know is that we are the priority. We are important, and I feel that it is important to come around to that realization. And when you're talking about it's your company, you're the leader, you're the owner, you're the managing member, whatever you want to call it, like people are looking to you. And if you're not healthy mentally, if you're not healthy physically, if you're not healthy financially in any of these other ways, then it is going to show up in your business. It's going to show up how you show up. It's going to show up in how you lead your organization. It's going to show up in how you're visible in your marketing and you're doing PR, you're doing interviews. It's going to show up in how you price your products and your offerings. It's going to show up in all of the ways how you lead your people, how you set your business up. So you are the most important cog in the wheel, so to speak. And if you're not functioning properly, if you're not healing, you're not working on yourself, you're not caring for yourself, you are going to be a detriment. You are the detriment to your business. And so that's why personal evolution is so very important. Taking care of yourself is so very important, and not just physically, but in all of the ways.
Biba,
Now
you didn't have to tell. Yeah, you didn't have to tell all my business out on the internet like that. No, I just asked you to be a part of the conversation. I didn't expect you to come for me today.
Coming for all of us.
We're all like, I saw everybody's faces. We're all like, everyone's just a little uncomfortable with Biba bringing all that onto this panel here today.
Biba sees me, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I'm in Biba's podium speech, and I am uncomfortable with it, but I'm here and I'm present. Thank you, Biba, for bringing. We're all shake it off, everybody. Shake it off. We're the detriment. We're the health. We've got to focus on ourselves. Alice, what strategies do you think people need to be looking at this year in their business?
I think they need to focus on strategies that are, I want to say, real, and not like hashtag authentic or anything like that, but things that actually feel good to them and who they are. Like, none of the fake it till you make it. Like, banish fake it till you make it. Show up real, show up in who you are, like as your actual self, or that part of yourself, because we're all a lot of different people, right?
Yeah.
But that part of yourself that you can share with other people in a real way and work on connections. That's the strategy. Be your actual real self.
Yeah, that's why I named my new Substack Show Up Ugly.
Yes, I love it.
It's just all the messiness, and like everyone can come and watch the train wreck move forward on the tracks, like choo choo, motherfucker. Anyways, like I'm tired of like this, expectation to be perfect all the time. It's exhausting. I'm really not. I walk into walls. I walk into stupid conversations. I walk into my own mouth running out of that time, and I think part of it is forward. And show up. Like, businesses make mistakes, like they do, but it's how they show up for that mistake and how they make the actions, and also admit what they have available to make changes. I think this is something we have to also recognize this year, is that when we make a mistake, sometimes the business doesn't have the resources to make the change as quick as you hope they can. That goes for big and small corporations. Okay. Asking an entire corporation to change overnight their harmful practices is just as much of a strain on the people who are in that building already as maybe the exploitation that's happening on the environment or their workers. So it is also our realization that change does take time, and our commitment to change is what really matters, I think, to me. Veronica, strategies for this year.
Yeah, and it was the same as last year. People first and pleasure-filled infrastructure. Like, if it doesn't feel good and if it's not supporting the people that are part of your organization, whether you are a 2-person team or a 200,000 plus person team, it's like your people are not prioritized, they will find something better. And specifically for the startups, like, we often prioritize people first and pleasure-filled operations, because you can think of your operations like, if you have a business house, as the foundation, as the framing and structure. So if you're building your house straight on dirt and planning to scale and like grow a big skyscraper or a mansion, you're never going to rest easy, and you're going to wonder, is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? So for us, it's like, how do we get intentional about creating good foundations so that you can grow, you can pivot, you can scale, you can stay the same, you can treat your people better. Without a strong foundation, it's not going to happen easily.
Yep. Love it. Joa, strategy for this year.
Yeah, strategies for this year. I think as a small business owner, the thing that I have struggled with the most is how much noise is out there. There's so much noise about you should do things this way, you shouldn't do things that way. If you haven't made your first million yet, what are you even doing? All
It's not a million now. It's 100 million. If you're
100
making
million,
100
a,
million
a
today,
billion.
are you
Where's
even in
your first
business?
I thought it
billion?
was a trillion, but I'm glad we've
Probably.
it's 100
It's a
million.
Are you
billion
even in
trillion.
business?
But that noise is impossible to escape. Sometimes it feels that way, right? And I think that the strategy is figuring out whatever reflective practice you need that's going to work for you to be able to tune it out for certain sections of your day or your week or your month or whatever,
Yeah.
to be able to really figure out, all right, what is it that I am doing? How is this going to work for me? Figuring that out, and then finding a way to get the support and the help that you need with it, because nobody does this on their own. Anybody who tells you they're doing it on their own is a liar. Don't believe it.
Ah,
A liar. Yeah. So
Joa is calling you out right now.
get the help that you need. And if you can't figure out what that help is, like, figure out how to tune out the noise so you can come to some answers.
yeah, and I think that's part of asking for support. Sometimes the best thing we can do is, it's like, especially if you're getting like negative feedback. Like, I hear the negative feedback. However, right at this moment in time, I'm not avoiding it. I'm not, I'm not, I have like, I haven't slept in 3 days, or whatever. Be really honest too, like what you need when you are dealing with like negative situations. And also with positive. Sometimes like I've said to Alice yesterday, I want to celebrate with you. However, I'm celebrating, that hates me. It's just because like I'm just like, at this moment in time, I would like to give you one jazz hand while I'm still typing out this proposal, and that, like, being gentle with ourselves and knowing what we are available for. I like that, Joa. Briar, strategies for this year.
Uh, Accessibility is for everyone, and it starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't created accessible practices for yourself in your life and in your business, I don't know how you expect to create those things for other people.
Yeah.
So it really looks like figuring out what accessibility is, where it lives, what we can do to make things structurally easier for everyone involved.
Mm.
And the tech lives there, the systems live there, the relationships live there. It's all about figuring out how to make all of this easier.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be hard. That's, if I can teach you anything, that's it. It shouldn't be hard. Life should not be this hard. Business should not be this hard. You get to have fun, you get to enjoy it, and you get to build it in a way that works for you.
Yeah, I love that. I think also too, Briar, what I've learned from you in the last like just the last week, I've learned many things from you, but in the last week is like expectation. So we talked about, what do we think we should be doing in our business versus what we really want to be doing in our business, and how do we really want to make money, and how to, like, what does that look like, and what value do you bring? We've had some interesting conversations around content creation, and is that a valid form of work? And that part of it is having these conversations of what does a real job look like? Get a real job. I have a real job. There's money in my bank. So obviously I have proof of concept. But it is these kind of conversations, but also keep coming back to what works for us. I have a concept in the profit plan called the PFO. I won't say it out here just because, but you please fudge off. It's a price that if you maybe were known for something or you're good at something, but you really don't want to do it, you can create the PFO price. And it's the amount of money that if they say yes, they probably won't, but if they do say yes, you won't mind doing it. So make it as big as you want, 25K, 35K, 100K, whatever feels right to you. Be like, yeah, I'll do this annual report for 100K. If they say yes, then cha-ching, you're on your way. Or you can hire support to get it done for you and you don't actually have to do it. Hire someone who loves doing it. Whatever that is for you, creating those expectations, creating that love of what you do, and only doing that, as opposed to, we still have to do our taxes. We still got to, do the bookkeeping and all those things that we don't really want to do. But when it comes to making money, we create our own terms about what that looks like. Even when we work with clients, I talked this morning about the done with you model versus the DIY or the done for you. Sometimes we just have to say, I can only show up in this way right now. Is this good for you? And if the client says no, that's okay. If the client says yes, hallelujah, let's get going and move forward. So I love this. I want to thank everybody. This has been the forecasting, the crystal ball. What an incredible panel. You guys just showed up. You're just like, Joe, I was like, you want to get on the stage? And Joe was like, yeah, heck yeah, I do. I love that. This shows just how, nobody knew what these questions were. I don't prep people. No, we show up and we're in the moment, because I think it's a really great testament for how people love what they do and they know what they do, and they're able to come up here and help people and serve people. So I want to thank everybody on the panel. You're all brilliant. I love you. I love what you're doing in the world. You're creating incredible impact. Please do go check out the folks on here. I will have their bios up on this page that I put up at the top. You can't see, but there's a banner. Also, I shared. What you also don't know is I shared all your websites as you were talking. We were teching it up in here. Yes, Biba. You probably shouldn't have told me what your URL is, because now I got it up there.
Oh, we're going to have a pretty link. Yay!
Oh, it's pretty, all right. And it had its debut today. I was like, and Joe, Joa, yours went up too, but just so you know.
All right.
Yeah, I went and found, and so this is it. I want everybody to go take a look at Briar, take a look at Joa, take a look at Veronica, Alice, and Biba. These are phenomenal leaders, not only within the Create the Rules Catalyst community. I'm so thankful for all of them, but how they show up, not only for themselves, but each other. Everybody on this stage, I think, has had a one-to-one with each other. They've had conversations with each other, and they will continue to collaborate, even though they have very specific, very different niches. It's a testament for who they are as people. If you need what they do in the world, please go search them out. We will be showcasing them a little bit more throughout the month. And come back. We've got createtherulesevents.com/catalyst connect this afternoon. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to go get some nosh. We're going to go get some libations. And then we are coming back and we're talking to Darcy from Sweet Tooth Creative. And Darcy's going to take us through AI for marketing. Then we've got the incredible panel that's going to be up talking about AI and how, can it make or break your business. And then we end with Lakshmi, who is really going to be focusing in on a discussion that we've already had some really great insight in here. The people are your power. And if you're not building teams and building systems that support your teams, it's going to have an impact in your business. Even if you're a team of one right now, again, I can't encourage you enough. You are an employee in your business. So if you're not creating the systems that work for you, when it's time to grow and expand, you're not going to be able to have the systems that support a team as well. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you creating an environment where you can thrive? And so I'm so excited. Lakshmi always brings a ton of insight in this, and that's how we're rounding out today. So thanks, everybody. We are, wherever you're watching this, we're going to be back in about 45 minutes, and we're going to dive into that and then go this afternoon. So thanks, everybody. And if you're interested in our next events, check out the URL. Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye.